to the clouds. All right, we have a few more people that are probably going to log on, but we have some new people today. This is our last meeting for the treasure hunt program, and we opened it up to other houses of worship, so welcome. We're happy to see some of you that we haven't seen lately. I'm Connie, I'm the Executive Director for Detroit 2030 District, and Jennifer, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Young, and I'm an Energy Programs Manager with Michigan Interfaith Power and Light. And I also am privileged to be partnering with Detroit 2030 District on this treasure hunt for houses of worship.
Great. So let us know that you are here by putting your name in the chat. We'll be opening it up later so we can all say who we are too. But I just wanted to give a quick overview on what's happening in the Detroit 2030 District. And once again, this is our last meeting for this group, but there's a much larger 2030 District program. So I'm just going to kind of review that. I'm sure several of you have seen all of this many, many times, including like Bob and Jennifer. I'm sick of seeing it. But we do have 23 districts in North America. That totals up to about 580 million square feet committed to what we're trying to do, reduce carbon in the built environment through energy and water reduction and transportation emissions and a host of other sustainability initiatives. We're proud to have 3 districts in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, and Detroit. There's only one other state with 3, so we're excited and we're a little bit more involved than they are, so we're really proud of our presence here in Michigan. And many of you know us as 2030 District, which is correct because we are measuring reductions in our district, hoping to reduce them by 50% by the year 2030. But since 2030 is right around the corner, the whole network has kind of changed its tagline to accelerating to zero beyond 2030. So we just want to let everybody know we're not going to quit at 2030. That's just where it started at. That's how long ago we started. About 15 years ago with the first district in Seattle, funded by the DOE and then made it replicable. So that's why we have so many districts today. And this is what we're trying to do. And we're obviously going to try to reach zero emissions by 2040 in the districts that we serve. And we're trying to get there through energy efficiency, electrification, clean grids, and reducing embodied emissions. And we also support building codes, policies, incentives, and ordinances, and whatever might help us be able to be more transparent about what our buildings are doing. Currently, we have 59 million square feet in our program. That's almost 500 buildings in the city of Detroit. So we're proud to be the 3rd largest district now. I don't know if we'll get up to 1 or 2 because they're a lot larger than we are. And that is Cleveland and Pittsburgh. We have 3 member types. You guys are a part of the property owner and manager group, and we have businesses that pay to belong, and those are the people that support this program financially. And then a lot of nonprofits are partners with us, including Michigan Interfaith Power and Light. These are our businesses that support us. So if you ever run into somebody from here, you might want to thank them for this program. DTE, DNV, SEAL, and the Detroit Lions. Eagle has funded some of our programs, and GM in particular funds this House of Worship program, helps to fund. Oh, and this is just some of our other logos of our members that pay to belong. So there's quite a few businesses in the city of Detroit that are trying to build a sustainable carbon-free future. This is our board of directors. You probably know some of the people. Our board is required to be a certain mix of building owners, real estate people, nonprofits. So you can see some of the people that we have there that are very involved with buildings in Detroit. Currently, I already gave you all of this, so I think I can skip through that. You guys have probably, if you're in this program, you're familiar with some of this because this is what we help you do. So this is a special program for us that we enjoy having, and we hope to run again in another whole cohort. And currently we have 7 houses of worship in our program this year, or the treasure hunt program. We have over 20 houses of worship in our full house of worship program. We have a DTE hub, which many of you are already in, which allows your Energy Star portfolio manager information to go from, how am I saying this? From DTE directly into Energy Star portfolio manager, so we can help you track your energy and water usage. And if you aren't using that yet, let us know, we can help you. And these are some of the other programs that are pretty big for us now. The Detroit Energy Challenge just went to the Michigan Battle of the Buildings the other day. And this is our chance to award buildings in Detroit for reducing energy. We give them awards in June. And you can see a few other programs there. I won't go into all of them. You guys are aware of a lot of this. We have a monthly lunch and learn. We have one coming up in 2 days, a special one for Earth Day. So don't forget to join us for that. I'll go over that in a minute. Our in-person meetings, our next one is the awards breakfast, and I'll tell you about that too. And we do have 3 best practice groups. We have the venue museum. Well, it's not museums anymore because that went national. So we have the venue best practice group, this one, houses of worship, and multifamily. And you guys are aware that it allows you, gives you an opportunity to meet facility managers that are doing just what you're doing. So that's kind of the benefit of sharing best practices. We had a great kickoff meeting in January. Always keep in mind, every January, we have a big kickoff meeting for our program. This is a multifamily, our winner of the Energy Challenge last year, first place. Last year was our first time giving awards out. She won the most energy reduction of any member in our program. It's a wonderful multifamily building in Detroit. If you haven't been to Beach Club Detroit and you want to go, just stop by or let me know, and I'll let Kathy McKeno, the owner, know you're coming. It's a wonderful, just a really awesome building, and she put in geothermal and all kinds of stuff to reduce her energy. This is the graduation from last year. So those of you that are in our treasure hunt this year, this is what our graduation ceremony will look like in May that Jennifer is helping me put together. And we hope you can come and get your certificate and photos and tell us a little bit about what you liked or didn't like about the program and how it helped you. This is our awards breakfast last year. As I mentioned, we're gearing up for it for this next year. This is an old date, so don't look at that. That's the 2022. These were our winners. And also, if you don't know, there is a possibility of a Detroit benchmarking ordinance coming to the city of Detroit, which means our building members at some point will, or all building owners will have to report their energy usage. So this is something that many cities have done. You can see here the cities across the country that have done so. And there is one written for the city of Detroit. It's still with city council, I believe. And there's a few people working pretty hard to get this passed. And if it does, we're here to help our members. So don't freak out. It's not anything super massive and super fast for houses of worship. It's still maybe a year or two out, but please keep in mind that that's what we're here for, to help you. This was for our members, even the houses of worship, and some of you entered the Detroit Energy Challenge for this year. We are getting ready to announce our winners. I think we have a house of worship as a winner, so it's very exciting. That deadline has passed, but thank you if you did get your data in on time for that. This is where we were yesterday. It's the other side of the Detroit Energy Challenge. It's the Michigan Battle of the Building. They gave awards out for statewide winners. And in Detroit, we had the Samaritan Center as one of the statewide winners. And many of you know that as a nonprofit in Detroit. So we were really excited to see them win an award yesterday. And this is the other one that I want to keep your eyes open for and make sure you get your tickets. It's $30, but it includes a full breakfast and it's a great morning. So we really hope that you guys can come and you can see some of our partners here who are helping to sponsor this event. It's at the Zero Net Energy Center in the morning. It really only goes to 11. Sorry, the typo there. But we hope that you can make it, and we'd really like to see a lot of our houses of worship there. I'm not going to go through these. These were the winners from last year. Scroll through those. Huntington Place was. This is our Friday lunch and learn. It's all about reusing plastic to reduce your one-time use plastics. I know it's not necessarily a big problem in your houses of worship, but it's good for companies and organizations that have closed loop systems like hospitals and universities, even event venues that use a lot of one-time plastic. This is a really great way that we're going to learn how to reuse cups and plates and divert all that landfill, all those waste emissions. Super exciting topic, kind of a new topic. They're doing it in New York City. They started one in Seattle. So it's coming. This whole idea of reducing one-time use plastic is not something we talk about a lot, but I think it's going to get bigger and bigger as time moves on. So hopefully you can join us. It's free. And I think you all know how to get involved, so I don't really need to go over that. And then hopefully if you want to stay in touch, sign up for our newsletter. Our website has a lot of information. It even has a special House of Worship tab. And just follow us on social media if you like. So that was my longer than I wanted update. So I'm going to let Jennifer go ahead and pull up the agenda for today. And we'll get started. Thank you for bearing with me on all those announcements.
Can you all see my screen?
We can.
Okay, super. Yes, so thanks to Connie for the update and overview of the Detroit 2030 district. And thanks to you all for being here. Connie, were you going to share the EPA video about the treasure hunt for last year? Do we want to do that?
Oh, you know what? Let me do that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of give you all a sense, especially for our guests, about what the treasure hunt is about. Sorry, I'm just getting a message from Pastor Glass with Lord of Lords that he won't be able to make this one, but okay. So the treasure hunt is, like Connie said, a 6 or 7 month program that Detroit 2030 district is piloting with the EPA Energy Star program. And it's really honestly the first in the nation to pilot this treasure hunt for houses of worship. So if you go to the EPA Energy Star website, they have a treasure hunt checklist for worship facilities. And the checklist walks through lighting, HVAC, office plug load, kitchen waste and recycling, which we're going to talk about today, and all these different opportunities for hidden treasure energy savings that you can find walking through your worship facility with members of your green team or your facilities team. So that's what this is to encourage houses of worship to do. Each month we bring on a special guest speaker to speak on a different topic and share opportunities. We've also invited Michigan Saves and Taste to come talk about alternative financing options for houses of worship to finance these improvements. So we're here to be a resource and to connect peers in your cohort who are other worship facilities in Detroit looking to make these similar improvements. Our illustrious participants from this year include Lord of Lord Ministries, St. Peter's Episcopal, Detroit Unity Temple, St. Matthew's and St. Joseph's Episcopal, I Am Temple Detroit, Pilgrim Baptist Church, and Plymouth United Church of Christ. So thank you all so much for participating. And I think, I don't know if Connie, you had envisioned for folks to just give a brief introduction or to share any updates or requests for support at this time from the various participants.
So I think since we have a smaller group today, yes, I think we want to hear from our participating houses of worship. But I was thinking before we did that, if you're not our participant and you're on this call today, it'd be great to have you introduce yourself. Oh,
yeah, and I'm wondering if we could let Sonia with Plymouth UCC go first, because she just mentioned she'll have to leave in a few minutes. So,
sure.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Let me turn on my camera for a brief second. My name is Sonia Ponce. I am with Plymouth United Church of Christ, and I'm sorry. We're doing just a brief introduction. So we're just talking about our church and who we are and what we've done. Okay, so Plymouth, we have done a detailed assessment of our facility, and we are working toward identifying funding sources to complete some of the recommendations at the facility. That's it. Thank you.
Great.
And I think we're also, I think, going to be the host of the meeting in May. Is that correct?
Yeah. Wonderful.
Okay.
Yes. Looking forward.
Yeah,
Yes.
our celebration lunch. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Sonia. And it's also an opportunity if there are requests for support or challenges you're encountering in the process, let us know, or anything you want to lift up and celebrate that you've accomplished. So Kateri, I know you're standing in for Bob, and I don't know if you had a chance to talk with him, but do you want to give a brief update for St. Peter's?
Yeah, he gave me a little update that I can share. So thank you. Yeah, I'm Kateri, representing St. Peter's Episcopal Church, and normally Bob is the representative. But yeah, his update is for today is similar as the last couple of months. That we've mostly been working on repairing broken and leaking equipment, especially the boiler, which has given us a lot of trouble over the last year or so, but we do think that we're in a good place with it now, and making those fixes has saved us on both gas and water. So that's been really helpful. And the other big project that St. Peter's is up to right now is just working on a full parking lot reconstruction, which is going to be happening in the next few weeks. And it's going to be, we're doing it in a way that's environmentally sound with bioswales and efficient lighting, and planning on how to best use the big energy grant that we just received in our renovation of the soup kitchen in our basement this fall. So those are the notes that Bob gave me. And yeah, hopefully that's enough of an update for today.
Awesome. It's great. That's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great.
Jennifer, maybe Bob could give an update for I Am Temple. Since Bob, I know you said you didn't have a lot, but some new people on the call might want to hear stuff you've done since the beginning of the program. What do you think? I don't know if he's there.
I haven't really been able to contact them lately.
Okay.
I sent them a couple of emails and they bounced back, so I don't know what's going on over there.
But he's done a lot since the beginning, though. He is very involved, right, with the program. He seemed to.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about I Am. I was talking about the other one.
Sam Temple. Yeah. Want to give us
yeah, they had a lot kind of planned out, and we're in the process of doing anyhow when we got involved. So they're just really concentrating and finishing up a lot of those little projects, and they're looking at a couple other ones, but I don't think they're imminent by any means. I think they're still in the planning stages. So that's all I got.
Sorry, Jennifer, I'll let you continue. I just wanted you to know Bob could speak up for Warren.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And it sounded like, Bob, you were saying St. Matthew, St. Joseph, you haven't had a chance to talk to recently?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I haven't. I tried contacting them a couple of weeks ago by email, and it bounced back. So I've been meaning to try again. I just haven't got around to it. Have you had any contact with them?
I have not.
So, hey, Jennifer, this is Aubrey. I'm sorry, I'm on the meeting late. You guys are referring to St. Matthew, St. Joseph on Woodward in Detroit?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I interface with them quite often. I'm so sorry, just jumping in the meeting late. What is it that you guys are trying to grab them for?
Yeah, that's wonderful. We just wanted to give them an opportunity, and it looks like Bruce is not here today, but to like provide an update of opportunities and challenges that they're facing and making their facility more energy efficient. But if they're working with you, it sounds like they're in good hands and they're, actively exploring opportunities for energy savings.
Yeah, they are. So we're actually giving them like a holistic, we've done a couple walkthroughs, and we're going to give them every alternative that they can go after to make their facility energy efficient, weatherize it, to improve their airflow, and the major repairs that are needed too. They have a great architect that's involved. I don't know if Bruce has mentioned that, and they've done a lot of great steps, and they started probably about half a year ago or a little less than a year ago. So yeah, so so working on something with them. And Lynn actually is what's the name? He's a member, not just a member, but he's a trustee of the church. So he and Bruce interface a lot.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they're in case you don't know, Aubrey, I think this is your first or second time on one of our calls, but they're one of our 7 churches that we started with for the treasure hunt. So he's been part of this program for 6-7 months. This is our last meeting. Sometimes it's difficult for people to make every meeting, so we just kind of lost a little bit of what they were up to. So thanks for chiming in.
Okay. Great. Yeah. They even mentioned they'd love to try to look into geothermal, so we're going to try to get involved with that as well. I mean, they're trying to go hard.
Wow, awesome.
Wow, that's great.
Great stuff. So I am not seeing any representatives here from Detroit Unity Temple or Pilgrim Baptist. So I did speak with Pastor Griffin yesterday, but she informed me she had 11 o'clock and then a 12 o'clock. So it doesn't sound like she was able to jump in and join us. So that might wrap it up for House of Worship updates, Connie. From what I can tell, I don't know if Logan has had a chance to join us yet.
Well, before Logan starts, do you want everyone else to let them introduce themselves? Maybe you could run through that, Paula.
Yeah, absolutely. So some folks are here who have participated in either the treasure hunt last year or have participated this year as 2030 district ambassadors, helping houses of worship navigate opportunities. So Nijanand or Steve or Peggy, if you would like to introduce yourself, would love for you to jump in.
Hello everyone. I'm Steve Wasco at St. Suzanne's Our Lady Gate of Heaven and our Community Resource Center, St. Suzanne's Cody Rouge. We're an alum of the treasure hunt process, and what I've found to be is you're never completely separated from being an alum or of the process. There's always another group or a cohort of something going on, thanks to your all good work, Connie and Jennifer and others. So most recently, we're thrilled to be in a cohort of faith-based entities across the state, selected by the state as the Sacred Spaces cohort, and excited about drilling down into some really big clean energy work around that. And we don't do anything without trying to kind of be a model for our community and neighborhood in that. So looking forward to surrounding that with educational programs for youth and adults as well. So good to be here. Good to see everyone.
Thanks, Steve.
Hi, this is Nijanand Sarabde. I'm from Catalyst Partners. We are located in Grand Rapids. We are green building consultants. So we mostly work on LEED projects. And as a part of that, there is energy efficiency in the building. So we do energy advising and energy audits. So we have done quite a few energy audits recently. And we are here as a resource for anyone who wants any advice, has any questions. So good to see everyone and looking forward to work with you all.
Yeah, thank you for being a supporter of this. I just saw Ben and another lady yesterday.
Yeah, at the Energy Summit. Yeah, Ben told me about that today.
Yeah, Catalyst Partners is really doing a lot to support this type of work. So thank you. And thank you for supporting this program. Appreciate it. I think that leaves Peggy. Do you want to say hi? There she is.
Technical difficulties. Hi, I'm Peggy Matta. I'm an architect, and I was a technical consultant for Church of the Messiah last year, and still a technical consultant, although I haven't had much contact with Lord of Lords this year. So I'm very happy to support this program.
Thanks, Peggy. So Peggy is what I call the founder of 2030 District in Detroit. It was her idea. And I was hanging around her. So I just kind of jumped in and said, I want to do it with you. So we've been working on this for, gosh, if you talk about our 3.5 years of planning, we're probably close to 10 years.
We launched in 2017, so it's been a while.
Yeah, close to 10.
2013. Yep, it's been 10 years.
Yeah, since we've been working on this. So we've come a long way. We started with 5 buildings. So we're one of the few districts that have really focused on houses of worship. And I guess I didn't mention earlier that 2 districts are other districts. Well, I know Ann Arbor jumped in and started one, and then Burlington, Vermont, and Cincinnati, I think, have both reached out to me to get information on starting one up in their district. And we're hoping to expand it, even beyond that. I can say that the EPA is excited to help us grow it too. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of funding to do that. And I did meet with General Motors the other day and told them all about where their money was going to this program, and asking if they would please continue again for another cohort. So keep your fingers crossed, we'll be able to do this again. So perfect timing. Jennifer, do you have anything else before we introduce our speaker?
No, I think this is a great time to introduce Logan.
All right. Thank you, Logan, from Green Living Science. Welcome to our House of Worship meeting. You are being recorded.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Oh, sorry, Connie, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so everything you say will be used.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm Logan. I'm the Director of Community Engagement from Green Living Science. Logan Applebee, sorry, I'm always terrible at introducing myself. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about Green Living Science, what we do, and recycling and some potential programs in your houses of worship. So I have a presentation. I'm pretty informal, so if you have questions as we go, please ask. So I will share my screen, and then we will get started with the presentation.
Great.
Okay, let's see here. All right, are you all seeing my screen okay?
Yeah.
Great. All right, so today I want to talk a little bit about recycling and waste reduction. First, I'll start by introducing Green Living Science. If you're unfamiliar with Green Living Science, we are a nonprofit based in Detroit focused on business, community, and youth programming focused around waste reduction and sustainability. So I put this slide up here with our entire team because I hope that this presentation leads to not just, recycling in your facility, but our, relationships and programming as well. So we do a lot of community programming through various methods. I'll talk about that today, but I want to put everyone's face up here. So hopefully you see some familiar faces going forward. So what does Green Living Science do? We help Detroiters get signed up for curbside recycling. We have a roughly 39% recycling rate in the city of curbside recycling. Curbside recycling is free if you live in a residential home or a duplex or a small apartment complex under 4 units. So maybe either show of hands or in the chat, who here lives in the city of Detroit and participates in the curbside recycling program? Or if you live in the city of Detroit and qualify by living in a single family home, a duplex, or an apartment complex under 4 units, maybe you don't qualify, tell us that, and I can help you get signed up today for free. So we help Detroiters get signed up for curbside recycling. We do assemblies and community workshops about curbside recycling for free to schools, community groups, block clubs, houses of worship, businesses, whoever wants us to come and do a workshop. So that's the photo that you see here is our Be Green mascot. And we take him to assemblies to help kids get excited about recycling. We do these workshops for anyone who wants them virtual or in person. So if you're interested in having us join your block club or come to your house of worship for a presentation for your congregation, we would love to do that for you. We don't usually bring the mascot, but we could. Jim, I see your comment in the chat, the Lafayette Park Co-op. That's interesting. We can talk more about that because co-ops have a little bit of a, they may or may not qualify for curbside recycling. So I can help you with that. Maybe we can connect offline. A new program announcement that I want to share with you all, as it may be relevant to your congregations, sharing with your congregations. It's a program called Our Backyard Detroit. It's a park stewardship program. It is taking place in 8 different parks throughout the city, 1 for each district and then 2 in District 5. And we've selected 8 smaller parks that don't necessarily have community groups that support them, and we're working to fund residents who are doing stewardship work in the space, provide some resources and some funding to do beautification, waste reduction, anti-litter campaigns, recycling expansion, and connect folks to the city. So help being a good bridge between residents and city services. So if you're interested in that, more information, I can send that out. And I know Connie, maybe you can send that out. I'm not sure if you sent it to folks, but we can do that too. We have a student recycling ambassador program where we pay students, high school students, to become recycling ambassadors and participate in a 20-hour program throughout the summer. So they learn about how to be a recycling ambassador, how to sign folks up for recycling, and then generally about sustainability. So talking about energy waste, energy waste reduction, climate change, environmental justice, air quality, water quality, whatever youth are interested in, we kind of tailor the program to fit. So that application will be coming out soon. I can share that as well. So if youth in your congregations or communities are interested, it's a great opportunity, fairly low, low commitment, 20 hours over the summer, and it's paid. We have an Earth Camp. I don't want to share too many details as those details haven't been announced yet, and I'm not necessarily privy to them, but where we bring youth to our space and do some sustainability programming in the late summer. And now, what you've all been waiting for. 2 programs that are probably most relevant to you all. The City of Detroit's commercial recycling program. So we'll talk about that. We help facilitate that program for the city. And our Be Green business program, which is essentially a fee-for-service consulting, especially around waste reduction and diversion. So that's a lot. Please, again, if you have questions, you feel free to unmute and ask them or drop them in the chat as we go. So why are we here? Today, we'll talk a little bit about why we should recycle, why it's important. There is a large demand for it. People want to recycle. They want to take that step. We'll talk a little bit about waste reduction and right sizing. So this might be, it might not be old news to you all. So if it's redundant, my apologies. We'll talk a little bit about the City of Detroit's commercial recycling program, and we'll talk a little bit about the Be Green business program. And then I also want it to be conversational. So if you have thoughts or feedback, or comments or questions as we go, please feel free to ask, as there's a lot of challenges around recycling, and we want to have a conversation and hopefully help each other out today. And also, I'm not necessarily familiar with all of your locations and congregations, so there might be some context that I'm missing that would be very helpful. All right, so why should we recycle? Right, currently, without recycling, we're taking natural resources, making it into a product, using it, and then throwing it away. And that in many ways in Detroit, we used to burn it in the incinerator. Thankfully, we don't do that anymore, but still sending it to landfills, which is not ideal. Not great for the environment, not great for health, and so on and so forth. So by recycling, and I'm going to talk about the 5 R's today, we can help to close the loop, practice more circular economy, and just reduce the waste that we're sending to landfills or other sources. So, right, by practicing our 5 R's, we're reducing habitat destruction, reducing our carbon emissions, lowering pollution, lowering energy usage, and increasing jobs. If you're sending something to the trash, all of your waste is going to the trash, it's creating maybe 1 to 2 jobs, right? You have your truck driver and your operator at the landfill. When you recycle, the material is processed, so it's picked up at the curb, it's sent to a material recovery facility where it's processed. So you're getting a lot of folks working there processing materials. It's sent to another manufacturer where they're making new products out of those materials. So supporting jobs there. It's a much more robust system. The numbers are like, usually it's about, you're creating 1 job if you throw something away, you're creating about 10 jobs if you're supporting recycling infrastructure. So the 5 R's I'll talk about today. We want to talk about refusing, right? So this is the waste reduction part. If we can refuse and say no, stop waste from happening in the first place, that's great. Then we get to our more traditional 3 R's, reduce, reuse, and recycle. They're in this order because, again, recycling is great, but it's a last ditch option for material. It's better to reduce it by using less, or reuse it by using it again, or repurposing it in some way instead of recycling. And then rot is the last one. So folks here may be familiar with compost. That's a great option for you too when we think about waste diversion, not sending organic matter to landfills. So if that's something you're interested in, it's something we can help connect you to. And there's a lot of folks working in the compost space around the city. So we'll be thrilled to talk about that today too. Okay, so I'll ask a quick question. Oh, my answer popped up. Okay, hopefully you didn't see it. So 75% of the waste generated throughout the world is recyclable, but how much is actually recycled? Maybe you all saw the answer. I don't know. This is kind of a shocking number.
I'm just going to go with A.
A? You think 15 is actually recycled? It's a bit cynical.
Right?
A bit cynical, 15%. It's actually 30%. So about 30%. And those numbers vary, of course, right? This is older data, so it may be different, but yes, we have a lot of opportunity to recycle. There's a lot of space to recycle. So next I'll talk about waste reduction and right sizing. So first off, waste reduction, right? There's some ways that at low or no cost, it's easy for you to reduce the waste you're generating. So that could be single-use plastics. Instead of purchasing single-use plastics, using reusables, especially if you have access to like commercial kitchens or dishwashers. I'm not sure what your congregations all have at their disposals, but that's a great option. And again, these are not new techniques, but I do want to cover some basics. Reducing purchasing of office supplies, right? If you're not buying all this stuff in bulk and it's sitting and it's there to be used and thrown away, that's going to save you money up front and reduce your diversion. You're going to divert more materials and use less. And then things like multi-sided printing, right? This is not a complete list, this is just some examples, but multi-sided printing is great if you have the option to, when you have to print a print material, right? Thinking about how to actually use less paper. And please, again, throw out your diversion techniques. If there's something that you've done in your congregation or your community or your business that works for you all and that others might learn from, that's great. We'd love to hear those in the chat or, you know, comments. Bob, I see you unmuted. Maybe, do you have something for us? Or maybe not. Either way, that's okay. We'll keep going. So those are some right waste diversion practices that we can use. But then we get to right sizing. So right sizing is the practice of taking, critically looking at, you know, your recycling or trash infrastructure and figuring out if it meets your needs. So if you have a dumpster that's being picked up every week or every 2 weeks, but it's not necessarily full, or it's, you know, being picked up and there's like, you know, maybe 25%, you know, 25% full, maybe we can change how it's being serviced. Can we reduce this amount of service that's happening from our hauler? So maybe we can go to you know, an on-call service or a monthly service instead of weekly or bi-weekly. Our dumpster's half full. Can we reduce the size of our dumpster to, you know, correctly manage our waste instead of, you know, paying more for a larger dumpster that's never full? And then can we think about adding recycling and composting services to help cut out our trash services or save money on our trash services? So by adding recycling, you can, you know, roughly cut half of your trash services, because about 50%, generally speaking, of your material that you're throwing away is recyclable. And then thinking about compost, if you are able to use a compost service that helps to reduce smells, right? Your organic matter is going into the compost, it's not going into the trash. Then you're able to service your dumpsters less because there's no stink. And there are, oh, thank you, Connie. And there are other, you know, no rodents necessarily. We're able to, you know, service our trash much less often because the organic matter is being composted. So these are all things to think about when we're trying to save money on our trash and recycling services, because there's a lot of opportunity to do so. Okay, so challenges, recycling, composting, trash as well, they all have challenges. So a big one is infrastructure. You know, if you have a set infrastructure for trash or dumpsters, it may not only be designed, you know, for one dumpster. So you just have a recycling dumpster. You don't have you just have a trash dumpster. You don't have room for a recycling dumpster. You may not have the ability for a truck to pull in through an alleyway. There's a lot of challenges that we recognize happen. And so as Green Living Science, we can help help you navigate those challenges. I'm always here if you all have questions or questions or thoughts and just need someone to bounce it off. Or if you're more interested in like our Be Green business program, which I'll talk about a little later, we can help you navigate some of those, especially those infrastructure challenges. Cost is a big one. The cost of services is substantial, right? So it's difficult to sometimes justify that cost when there isn't a lot of room to work within the budget. It's like, yeah, I could, you know, adjust our contracts. I could reduce these costs, but how do I do it effectively? So that's a challenge, recognize that. And contamination. So with recycling, it's very easy to get contamination in there. It happens, you know, folks can be well-intentioned and put materials in the recycling that actually aren't recyclable. We call that wish cycling. Or there could be illegal dumping, right? Someone just drops off a bunch of their trash or whatever it may be into your recycling. That's never ideal. Or it could be a lack of education, right? Folks just aren't sure what is or isn't recyclable, which is a problem, and we can help address that. The other challenge I'll mention is sometimes when you have around illegal dumping, when you have your bins out in you know, public place, in a parking lot, in an alleyway, whatever it may be, you get a lot of that dumping. So when thinking about service locations, there are some changes that you can make to help reduce that dumping, ideally. And Steve put in the chat a great point. Internal communications among different constituencies, that's huge, right? So having to share the message and to make sure everyone's on the same page can be challenging. especially because recycling can be different wherever you go, right? So if you live in Oakland County, it can be different than when you live in Wayne County versus living in the city of Detroit. Municipalities have different, lists of materials that are or aren't recyclable. So if you live one place but work in another, that can be a challenge. Making sure folks understand the process in your facility can be a challenge, especially if you have a large facility like St. Suzanne. So there's a lot of challenges around the internal communication, and it can be helpful to have someone like us at Green Living Science, doing workshops, doing education to help make sure that folks are, understanding the process, uplifted and feel like, oh yeah, I know how to recycle. I can do this. I'm going to do it. So that's a great point, Steve. Thank you. All right. So next, the commercial recycling program through the city of Detroit. This is a relatively new service. It's been around about 2 years. It's low cost. For single stream recycling, this is the lowest cost you are going to find in the region. The reason the city offers this service at the same price as their commercial trash service. So if you aren't, operating with the city's commercial trash service, that's a possibility as well, right? Can help you save some costs, but we'll focus on the recycling today. So it starts at $450 a year for the smaller rolling cart you see here on the screen, or $900 a year for the larger dumpster you see here. So that's, again, low cost, single stream, serviced weekly. Single stream, let me rewind. Single stream means all recyclables end up in the carts together. So you don't have to separate out your cardboard from your glass, from your aluminum, from your hard plastics. They can all go together, which makes it easy for collection and makes it easy for folks to, you don't have to separate anything out. In addition to the low cost nature of this program, the city of Detroit provides education and resources to anyone who participates. So that's, free staff and custodial education. That's signage. They work with contractors like us, Green Living Science, to help, administer those educations, workshops, one-on-one conversations that are necessary to make a program run well. So we do that as part of the our contract with the city. It's built into the contract, so it's no cost to you all as someone who participates in the program. And then the Be Green Business Program. So this is our fee-for-service recycling consulting program, essentially, where we can help you, take a custom approach to your waste. So that can look like a lot of different things. It can look like, hey, we need help finding the right hauler for us. It can be very simple. It can be, hey, we need help finding connections to a compost hauler. It can be, come to our facility and give us a full assessment of our waste. How are we doing? What could we be diverting from landfills? What could we be reducing on the front end, through purchasing or, changing of policy to reduce our waste on the back end? And we do this for all sorts of, businesses, nonprofits, houses of worship, municipal buildings. And it's not just limited to the city of Detroit. We'll do this for anyone in the metro area or further potentially. So we work with large clients, clients like the Henry Ford Health System, Henry Ford Museum, or single person operations working out of their homes. So this is a program that is fully customized to your needs. And again, if you have a question or you want like a free consultation and walkthrough, please give us a call. I'm more than happy to come out to your facility, walk through with you, figure out what your needs are, and help send you in the right direction, even if it's not the Be Green Business Program. If it's the commercial program, that's great. If it's working with other, companies or other haulers, that's great. If it is, working with us as a Be Green business, that's great. But I'm more than happy to help, in whatever your needs are. Okay. Oh, and now I want to talk a little bit about sharing resources to your communities and your congregations. So like I said earlier, folks who live in residential homes, duplexes, or apartment complexes under 4 units qualify for free curbside recycling. So I want to provide that information to you. So if you want us to come out and do a workshop to get folks signed up, if you want to pass out our flyers as part of your newsletters, or part of, your resource tables, whatever it may be. We come and participate in tabling events, in resource fairs. Personally, we can come out and do that. Or we can send materials for you all to have at your resource fairs or your tables in your congregations so folks can sign up. So I could always come by, drop those off, and folks can pick it up, take it home, scan the QR code, sign up for the free recycling cart, and it's dropped off right at their door. The next resource I'll talk about is Recycle Here, the City of Detroit's recycling drop-off facility. So this is where folks can drop off, residents of Detroit can drop off a lot of different recyclable materials. Anyone who is a resident can participate. A couple of things I'll highlight though, especially are styrofoam and hardcover books. So those are not accepted in curbside recycling carts. So if you're recycling styrofoam in your curbside recycling, should be taken to Recycle Here or thrown away. Does not go through the curbside recycling system, as well as hardcover books. You can't recycle those in the curbside cart, but they are accepted at Recycle Here. So that is a great resource. They're open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And I can share this information with you all as well. And then potentially most helpfully is the hazardous household waste drop-off. So in the city of Detroit, there's a free drop-off for hazardous household waste and e-waste. So that's batteries, old electronics, paint, aerosol cans, medical waste, chemicals, paint, whatever it may be, light bulbs, car batteries. All of that can go through the household hazardous waste and e-waste drop-off. That is open every Thursday and every fourth Saturday of the month. And that's free to residents. All you have to do is pull up, you sign the paperwork, the staff there takes the materials out of your trunk, puts it in their truck, and you drive off. Usually takes me less than 5 minutes. It's a great resource. Okay, so what you all can do for residents, if you want to direct them to some of our websites. So that's DetroitRecycles.org. We fall under that umbrella, or GreenLivingScience.org. They can call us, and I can help them over the phone get signed up, or help with whatever resources they may need. My phone number is right here. This is our community line, and our materials. So if you want our materials at your events, you want them at your resource tables, you want us to come table and staff at a community resource fair, you want us to come do a workshop, please let us know. We're happy to do that. It's totally free to you all. And as it helps us sign folks up for recycling and increase our curbside recycling rate. All right, and that's my presentation. If you all have questions, comments, concerns, maybe questions about is recycling actually being recycled, which is a very valid question, would love to hear, and take any of those, or anything I may have missed.
Yeah, I'd like to start with particularly number 1 and number 2 plastic. What are you doing with that these days?
Jim, that's a great question. So number 1, number 2 plastic, the city of Detroit for folks recycles plastics numbers 1 through 7. Number 1 and number 2, all the plastics go to the MRF at Southfield. It's a raw sock facility. So that's where all the recycling from the city of Detroit goes. When it's operated by the city's commercial program or the private haulers who do the curbside program. So I can't speak, Jim, to where it's going once it leaves the facility. I'm not exactly sure. I could put you in touch with the folks who run the facility. Maybe they could give you a better idea. But I can attest that the material that goes to the raw sock facility in Southfield, 86% of the material they're receiving is actually going to a manufacturer, is recycled and is going to a manufacturer to become a new product. I can say that factually because I was just there yesterday with the tour group. So if you all are interested in a tour, we can help arrange that for you. Essentially, that facility takes in material from their 9 communities and any recycling company that wants to pay them a tip fee. And 86% of what they get is recycled. The other 14% is contamination, so material that that shouldn't actually go in the recycling cart, or material that's been contaminated, like my newspapers got ketchup on them and couldn't be recycled. So that 14% is below the state minimums, I believe, or maximums for contamination. So it's a great facility. They recycle as much as they possibly can. And I can help you get the information on where the 1 and 2 plastics are going, but I don't know off the top of my head.
Hey, Jim, did you have anything else? I feel like you had another comment in here. Was that Jim just asking that last question?
It was.
Okay. He also made a comment about your Lafayette Park co-op doesn't qualify for curbside 48 units in the co-op. Want to talk about that?
So yeah, absolutely. So co-ops and condos are a little bit of a gray area. So it depends on if the condo or co-op, so like as an association, pay the solid waste fee. So if you pay the solid waste fee, and I believe it's a per unit solid waste fee, if you pay that solid waste fee, you qualify for the curbside recycling. The solid waste fee, I believe, is like 140. I don't want to misquote myself. I'll have to check on what that solid waste fee is. I'll double check. But if it's per unit, it may not make financial sense to pay that solid waste fee for curbside recycling. It might be even cheaper to do like the city's commercial program, as that can be cheaper at, $900 or $1,800 a year instead of the $100 and some odd dollar fee per unit.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I had asked about the number 1 and 2 plastic because I know early on after China stopped taking America's trash, I know Recycle Here was just, crunching the stuff together and bundling them up into big bins, into big packets.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what, especially Recycle Here, in the same scenario, I could reach out to them and see where those materials are going, but I'm not quite sure at this moment.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see if it stayed on the same one. Okay.
Okay. So a lot of times if you have a residential property near you, we can talk more offline too. If you have a residential property near you, a lot of folks will sign up through that residential property if they haven't already. And then it is picked up like a residential, just as the residential service is. So like I know some places have it might be a commercial property with a residential property attached, and they may just use the residential bin. And that's no driver is checking. No one is checking to see if that's like I know that bin is being, actually it was not for that house. But no one's checking that. So they just, are driving the route, pick up the bin like that.
Cool.
So we can chat offline if you're interested in figuring out some options.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Hopefully that just kept on recording. Anybody else have any other questions for Logan? I'd like to go back to the question that you proposed and hear what you have to say about that.
The question that I proposed. Sorry, Connie.
About how much recycling is really getting recycled?
It's a pretty high amount in the city of Detroit. So because it goes to this Rossock facility, if you have a private hauler, so there are some private haulers that service recycling, that recycling may not have as high of a rate that is actually being recycled. So for instance, depends on where the facility it goes to. So if it goes to the facility in Hamtramck, which is widely considered it's a dirty MRF. It's not, there's no technology aspect. It's just folks picking out materials. So if your waste goes to a dirty MRF, then your rate is, I think the average for a dirty MRF is like 30%. And that's like the average across the board. not necessarily the average for Hamtramck. So if your material goes to a facility like that, it may not be recycled at a higher rate. They might just pull out the commodities that are valuable at that moment, and other materials might get trashed. So it is depending. If you have service and you're not sure where your recycling goes, I would highly encourage you to ask your provider, because it may not be recycled, or may not be recycled as much as you thought. That's why I always talk about the city's commercial program. Yes, I am a contractor for the city, but I also believe in that program because we know where the material goes, we know it's single stream, and we know it's being processed at the, it's no longer the highest tech facility in the country, but when it reopened in 2016, it was. So they were able to pull out a lot of material. They pull out a lot, and again, 86% is what they're actually recycling. And that's an excellent number.
Yeah. Great.
Mm-hmm. So Steve says, our commercial hauler takes flattened cardboard to Hamtramck. Yeah, so when, that's a great question, Steve. So cardboard, when it's, flattened and baled, that is usually recycled at a very high rate. So if you have separate cardboard recycling, and it's, picked up by your provider and taken to a facility like Hamtramck, it's usually recycled at a very high rate. There's no reason it wouldn't be recycled.
Did that answer your question, Steve? It did.
Yes, it did. Thank you, Logan. Thanks, Connie.
Absolutely. Most definitely, Steve.
Well, this was really fitting for Earth Day coming up Saturday. So thank you so much for presenting. I did put in here to continue this conversation about recycling and reusables. I put in the link for our meeting on Friday, which is about reusable plastics. So I'm not sure if you can make it, Logan, but Logan knows all about. I
will be out of town, but I think Natalie will be attending. I asked her to attend. So
yeah, we've met with Logan, and we reuse. Even if you're a small organization and you want to start using reusable plastics, you can wash them yourself. Obviously, if you're a bigger venue, you can wash it yourself, or there is rewashing or dishwashing capabilities from some companies that are setting up in different cities. One's already set up in New York. So it's an interesting thought. You can use some of these products up to 600-700 times. They're designed to use over and over again. So, join us if you think you might want to do that in your congregation. You got to buy it up front. Yes, true. But then you're also not buying at a certain point. You'll have a break off, right? Or return on your investment. You'll be done. And then from that point on, you won't have to buy any of your plastics or paper that you may use in your facility. And it also cuts down on your landfill greatly. So if you have a, pretty big congregation, it might be worth it. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Logan. I will stop recording now, I think. And we really appreciate it. And I'm sure you're always around for future questions, right?
Yes, absolutely. If you have questions,